Hi friends. Okay, I'm just doing a little preparatory video here. I've got a truck coming this afternoon delivering a pallet of printers and other electronics items. I don't really know for sure what's on the pallet because this particular pallet did not have a manifest. Just the manifest said that they estimated around $3,000 worth of goods, and I actually expect it's going to be more looking at the pictures. I've seen pictures and it looks like there's at least 4 or 5 printers on there and some other electronics items. There looked like there was some kind of a stainless steel push card as well, but I'm really not sure what that's all about. It's not really electronics, is it? So anyway, that should be here within about an hour or so. I got a call this morning from the trucking company, and they said they'd be here between 1 and 2, and it's about 1:30 right now, but last time they told me between 1 and 2, they came at about 2:30 or 3, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully they'll be here before 4 o'clock or so, though, because I have to bring my wife and our 2 sons to work at that time. Somebody's going to have to be here to get that pallet. So we'll see, and I'm going to film when we're unloading the pallet, when they're getting it out of the truck and everything. I'll film that, and we'll put it up for a new video here on Pallet Flips. So I'm going to sign off for now, but I'll be back shortly whenever the pallet comes. All right, everybody, take care. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Pallet Flips. This is my YouTube channel, Pallet Flips, and I've also got palletflips.com, which is my website that's still more or less under construction. Okay, so that video that you just saw at the beginning, I shot that about 2.5 weeks ago. I was expecting a pallet. I had bought an electronics pallet, and it was a big pallet, too big for me to go pick up in my vehicle. No way I could pick it up in one load. It probably would have taken at least 3 loads. So I had it shipped up on a truck. It was only coming from about 100 miles away, but that still cost about, I think it was about $220 for shipping, as I recall. But you're going to see it was well worth it. So I shot that video, and then I was going to make a video while we were unloading the pallet off the truck so you could see the whole process. At the time that I shot that video, and I expected the truck, I had been told by the freight company that the truck would be here between 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock p.m. Now, my wife and my 2 sons go to work. We leave at about 4 o'clock to bring them to work. 4 is about the latest we can leave, and they'll still be on time. So what happened was the truck didn't show up. I had waited outside. We live upstairs, and I just like to wait outside if I know somebody or something big is coming. So I don't want to miss the thing. So I waited outside from about 12:30 until 4 o'clock. The truck never showed up. At that point, it was just too late. We had to bring everybody to work. My wife drives, but we've only got one vehicle, and I didn't want to be left without a vehicle that night. So we took off, went to work. I just figured, well, if the truck shows up, he's just going to have to come back tomorrow. That's about all I can do. He wasn't on time at the time I had been told. So guess what? About 40 minutes after I took off, I was pulling up. The big truck was right outside in front of my house. He was just getting ready to leave. I parked my car, I went over, and he saw me outside his window. He said, "Are you Bob Martin?" I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "I was just getting ready to leave. I was trying to decide if I would leave this pallet out here on the street or what I was going to do about it." And I said, please don't leave my pallets out on the street. And I explained to him that I was expecting him several hours earlier. And he informed me that the lady who gives that information is just like a secretary in the office, and she really doesn't know. So not much I can do. But I was very thankful that since at that time I was already alone, I had my 2 sons to help earlier. This was a huge pallet, and there was one very big item on there, and you're going to be seeing what I got off of that truck shortly here. And make sure you stay tuned for that, because there are some fantastic items that I got on that pallet. But anyway, the guy, I said, I wish you would have been here. I had help here to carry the stuff upstairs and everything. And it was his last stop of the day, and he was very nice. He said, I'm sorry that you had been told the wrong time. And if you'd like, I'll help you at least carry this stuff up to your porch, which you have to go basically up one set of stairs to get to our porch. Actually, I'll take that back. Two sets of stairs, one to get from the sidewalk to the yard, and then there's just a short, a few stairs to get up to the porch. But when you're carrying big things, even a few stairs is a lot. So I was very thankful to the guy, and sure enough, he helped me. We unloaded everything. We took it all off the pallet, brought it all upstairs, and put it on the porch, where I proceeded to open up everything and look at it. When I bought this pallet, I was kind of in the blind. I had a picture of the pallet, but the manifest did not list anything. It just listed that there was one lot of electronics items, nothing else. Most of the time, these liquidation pallets list every item or close to every item that's on the pallet. But that wasn't the case. But actually, I think that was good news, because they estimated that the pallet value was about $2,999, and it was actually over $5,000. And because the manifest didn't tell anything about it, I believe that's the reason, there were no other bidders on that lot of goods, on that pallet. I was the only person who bid, which means I got it for $150. I did have to pay shipping. I had to pay sales tax. I don't have a resale license yet, because I'm just getting ready to set up either an S-Corp or an LLC, and then I'll get my resale license. I won't have to pay sales tax. But I did have to pay shipping, sales tax, and also on this particular company, they have a 10% buyer's premium. So you bid on the auction, and if you're the winner, you have to pay them an extra 10% above what your winning bid was. So everything, all in all, it came up to $430. And, if you're buying in the blind, that is a bit of money, but I had found that in just about every case, not just about, in every case where I bought a pallet, I made money. And the pictures of this pallet looked fantastic. I could see that there were like at least 5 printers on the pallet, and there was a picture from the top looking down that looked like there was like a little roll cart that was maybe like a stainless steel roll cart, and I just wasn't sure what that was all about. But I had been thinking that, well, when I have this little roll cart, I can, put my stuff on it, roll it around the house or whatever, kind of make carrying things around a little bit easier. So I was excited for that. When the pallet came to the back, it was all the way at the front of the truck, right behind the driver, and he got the pallet jack and brought it back to the lift gate at the back, and I was waiting outside at the bottom of the lift gate, and I was looking at that roll cart, and it was on top of the pallet. You could see the wheels. It was upside down. The wheels were sticking up, and in the picture you could see the stainless steel. And it was white underneath that. But as I got looking at it while it was rolling towards me, I could tell that I had thought in the picture that it was boxes of other goods underneath it. And I could see instantly that it wasn't boxes. It had white styrofoam around the item. And it was about 6 feet tall. It went all the way from the top of the pallet down to the pallet itself. So I wasn't quite sure what it was. Since it was electronics on this pallet, I suspected that maybe it was a rack for if you had like rack-mounted computers or something like that. Because I had printers and other computer-type items. That was the thing that made sense to me. But that wasn't what it was at all. And you're going to see shortly here. So we brought it down, rolled it up to the corner. I live right on the corner. And we put it on the sidewalk on the corner. And then I got a knife. We took the shrink wrap off of it. And we carried all the boxes up to the porch. And the driver headed home after that. And I was very thankful to him. I took good care of him. So then, I was kind of excited. I wasn't able to make more video of the unloading and everything because I didn't have any help. If I had a couple of my sons there unloading things, I could have been taking video of what was going on. But while I'm unloading stuff, it's not easy to make a video. So anyway, I was very excited to see what was on this pallet. Of course, I was very excited first about that roll cart. So it was wrapped in plastic around the styrofoam. I took all the plastic and the styrofoam off, and it revealed something that I wasn't sure what it was. I still thought it was either a rack for rack-mounted computers, or I thought it was some kind of a restaurant item, possibly, like a food warmer, something to keep the food warm or something like that. I wasn't quite sure, but I was opening other boxes, and I'm going to be showing you everything I got on that pallet shortly here. So I started cleaning up. I cleaned up all the styrofoam and the plastic that I had made a mess with. Started unloading, stuff out of the boxes and bringing it up the stairs. I live upstairs. The pallet goods were down on the front patio, which is downstairs. So I had a big job to do by myself. I hauled all this stuff up the stairs, but I was taking little breaks because it was a lot of stuff and it was quite heavy. And I would I'd take pictures and I'd send them to people who might know what these items were. And on the rack, I sent a picture to my son because he knows a lot about computers. And I was asking him, I texted it to him, he lives in Atlanta, and I was asking him, is that a computer rack? And he said, no, that's not a computer rack, but I'm not sure what it is. So another good friend of mine, Leroy, I texted it to him, or I think I sent it to him on Facebook Messenger. He called me immediately. He said, that is a food warming rack for a restaurant. And then I took a picture of the sticker on the back of this thing, and it had the part number and everything. My friend looked it up on Amazon, and he said, that rack alone is it sells for $1,300 on Amazon. And you know what? The rack was brand new. It didn't have a dent in it, didn't have a scratch or anything. There was one problem with the rack. One of the casters underneath the rack would not roll. 3 out of the 4 casters were fine. The 4th one would not roll. But I didn't figure that was a big deal because that could easily be replaced. It was a very standard part. I probably could have gone to Walmart or a hardware store for sure and gotten a replacement for that caster. Worst case scenario, I could have contacted the company and purchased a replacement caster, I'm sure. But as it turned out, that was not necessary. So I've already sold a lot of things off this pallet. I have already tripled my money that I spent on this pallet. And we'll be getting into that in this video. I want to tell you the story about this. Actually, it turned out to be a bread proofing rack. You took loaves of bread, of just the raw bread dough, and you put them in this rack, and it heated up and circulated the air, which allowed the bread to rise before you baked it. And so this was an excellent item for a bake shop, or if you had a restaurant that made homemade bread or something like that, this would have been a perfect item. So the first thing that I did with this rack was that I advertised it on Craigslist. I've never really had much luck with Craigslist, but a friend of mine told me he thought I would be able to sell this on Craigslist, so I tried. There's a lot of scammers on Craigslist, and if you try to sell something on Craigslist, especially if it's a high-value item, people are going to contact you and they're going to say, look, I know you're asking $800 for this thing. I'm willing to pay you $1,000 because it's going to be a little bit of a hassle. I'm going to send you a cashier's check and then I want you to ship it out for me or whatever, or deliver it to me. Well, what they do is they've got a forged cashier's check. And it might be, you go to the bank, everything looks good, the bank will cash it or deposit it for you into your account, and it might take 4 weeks or 6 weeks later, it comes back, this thing is forged. You're going to lose the money, you've already given up the item that you sold, so you're out everything. But I was already aware of this scam. I had about 4 people contacted me through Craigslist who wanted to send me that cashier's check. And every time I just said, I'm sorry, it's cash only. You know, if you can get a cashier's check, you can go to the ATM machine also and get the cash. And that deal is good for everybody involved. When you forge a cashier's check, hey, it's great for you, but it's not good for me. So anyway, about 2 weeks after I put this bun warmer or bread warmer proofing rack up for sale, I had also listed it on Facebook Marketplace. I didn't want to ship it through eBay. The shipping on that would have been horrendous and a big job. So I was contacted by a lady through Facebook Marketplace, and she wanted to buy it. I had been asking $800 for it. Like I say, it was $1,300 on Amazon, but it did have the wheel that didn't work. And plus, you know, I wanted to move it quick. I like to flip things quickly if I can, but I still wanted to get a good price. Well, this lady went on and on. She offered me $250 for it, which that's really a lowball offer. But upon consideration, and I spoke with my wife and one of my sons about it, and they both said, and also two friends as well, by the way, and every person I talked to all laughed and said, oh, you shouldn't take the $250. But then I explained a concern that I had. We are renting here. This rack was really too big to feasibly bring upstairs, and then I'd have to bring it down again when I sold it. So I was keeping it out on the front porch, and then I left it. I was able to bring it into the vestibule downstairs and leave it there so it was somewhat protected from theft. But I was worried that the property manager for the house that we're renting would probably, if she saw it, she would think that, hey, you're turning this place into a junkyard, and I don't want that. I don't like to abuse my privileges or whatever. I like to take good care of the places I'm renting, and I don't want to have a problem with the manager or the landlord or whatever. So I wanted to move this thing quickly. And I had already made a lot of money on the pallet, and I thought to myself I should take the $250 to avoid problems and just be happy that I had a good item and still got good money for it. Not good money compared to the list price, but it was still a nice chunk of money considering I only spent $430 in total for everything on the pallet. So I told the lady I'd take her offer. We kept arranging times when she was going to come and pick this thing up. She never would show up. She wouldn't tell me, hey, I'm not going to be able to come. She wouldn't do anything like that. I would just contact her again, like the next day. Oh, yeah, I just decided not to come. I just felt she was pulling my chain. She was playing games with me. Well, on last Saturday, my wife and I went down to Plainfield, Indiana, which is just outside Indianapolis. It's on the other side of Indianapolis from us. It's kind of southwest of Indianapolis. And we were going to buy a pallet down there. And a lot of stuff turned out with that. We did end up buying a pallet, but that'll be a different video. While I was down there, I got a message through Facebook. The guy said, hey, I'm in Kentucky. I'm interested. Is this bread proofer still available? I said, yes, it is. And I had already gone down to, since I didn't want the lady to get it because I felt she was jerking my chain, I marked it down to $500 on Facebook. So I told the guy it's down to $500, and that was already double what the lady was offering me. And if I could sell it for that before the lady got it, I would have been very happy. So the guy and I texted back and forth. He asked me if I could meet him with the bread proofer in Indianapolis because he lives in Kentucky, and that would be about halfway for us. Well, you know, I just couldn't do it because I don't have a vehicle that was big enough to carry that thing. I would have to rent something and go down there, and it just wasn't feasible for me. So I told the guy that I would be happy if he could come up to Logansport where I live, and we could do the deal here. And he said, well, if I come up, that's about a 4-hour drive for me. Would you be willing to give it to me for $400? And I said, absolutely. You know, When can you come? He said, I'll see you tomorrow morning. That was on Saturday. He told me that. So Sunday morning, I got up early. I was ready for him. He texted me. He said, I'm going to be there about 9 o'clock. As it turned out, he got here about 10 o'clock because he had some issues on his transportation and everything. The guy got here, he pulled, I was telling my wife, I said, I hope he's got a big enough vehicle to carry this thing and everything. He pulled up in a large cargo van. I said, oh, he's ready, you know. So I went down to meet him as he got out of the van. He was a Hispanic guy, very nice guy. I just really liked him. His name was Eric. I asked him, I said, do you have like a bake shop or a restaurant or what? He said, I have a bake shop. We make a lot of bread and other kind of pastries and stuff. And I asked him, I said, where are you from? He said, well, I'm from Mexico, and I've been living in the U.S. for some time and opened up my bake shop and everything. It's a Mexican bake shop that he had. He prepared specialty bread and rolls and stuff for Mexicans. And I could just tell the guy was, you know, really a go-getter, had worked hard, was kind of chasing the American dream. You know, the kind of guy that you're really happy that he came here to our country because he's contributing something and he's doing his very best. So I was so happy that he got it. We helped load it up into his van. He pulled out some money and handed me 4 $100 bills. I thanked him, talked to him with him for a while because I just really liked the guy. I think he felt the same. He seemed like he liked me also. But I really wish him well. If Eric happens to see this, hey, all the best, my friend. I hope that you make a lot of bread and make a lot of money with that rack. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other things that I had on that pallet, and I'm also going to tell you, if things have been sold or just what's going on. Okay, so here is a Great Western popcorn machine. This was an 8-quart popcorn popper. And it was brand new. Everything was perfect on it, except there was one piece of metal that was slightly bent. That must have been why they returned it. And we straightened that out, so it was just like new. This was $175 on Amazon. I already sold this. I got $60 for it. I was offering it for $75 because I wanted to move it quickly, and I felt the market was limited on this. But it only took a few days. A guy sent me a message. He asked me if I'd take 60, and I said I would be glad to take 60. So we met up that same day. He gave me 60. I gave him the popcorn machine. Okay, I did have as I told you, I had a number of printers on this. I could see about 5 printers on this pallet. And here is an OfficeJet Pro 3015, I think that is, yes. And it's an inkjet printer. I took the printer out, and since it was a customer return, I tested it. I hooked everything up. It worked perfectly. We sold this to a friend of Fama's. My wife is Fama. We sold a friend of hers this printer. It was not an expensive printer. I think it sold $69.99 on Amazon, brand new. I was offering it for $50, but I gave it to our friend for $40. And that was just like one day after I purchased the pallet, or after the pallet was delivered, rather. So that was a nice and quick sale, and I'm glad that it went to a friend who could use it. Okay, I had another thing here, a Black & Decker toaster oven. This thing was brand new, had never been out of the packaging. It did have one problem. The forklift in the warehouse had hit the box and made a hole in the box, and there was a small dent at the back of the toaster oven, but everything worked perfectly. This thing was $59.99, I believe, on Amazon. I offered it for $35, and within 5 minutes of putting it on Facebook Marketplace, I had about 4 people that wanted it. That was, late in the evening, though. So the next morning, I met up with a lady. She bought it for $35. And after she went home, she sent me another message and asked me if I had more of them because she wanted more. So that if I would have had more, that would have been great. But I didn't have any more of those. I just had the one. But I was happy to give it to somebody who enjoys it and was happy to get it. Okay, here's another printer. This is an HP Envy printer. I actually got two of these. One of these Envy printers works fine. The other one has no ink cartridges. If I try to put the ink cartridges from one to the other, it doesn't work. It says it's not the proper ink cartridge. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's only a $39 printer, so it's not worth very much money. I have not sold this yet. I'm offering it for, I think I'm offering it $25 right now, but I'd take 20 for it. The second one, I'm going to probably try to sell that for parts. I might just get like $10 for it. I'm not really sure. So it's so little money, I'm not really too worried about making a big effort on it, except that I want to get it out of my storage room. All right. Here is a Brother all-in-one. It's a printer, fax, scanner, does all that stuff. And everything works fine on this. I haven't sold it yet, but I'm going to be looking for about $60 or $65 for this item. Here's another HP printer. I don't remember the model number, and it's not visible to me in this picture, but this printer does not work. It won't power on at all. So I actually donated this to a charity because they thought they might be able to fix it. Okay, this is another great item. There are actually two items here. I have it still in the box here. It's called a Badgie 100. It's an ID badge printer. It prints colored printing on a plastic ID card. So like if you went and got a job at some company, they could just print out an ID badge for you. This printer sells for about $500, brand new. It's, missing a couple things, but nothing that won't make everything works. It just doesn't have all the ID cards that are supposed to come with it and a few things like that. But all the important stuff is there. I've got this on eBay right now. I'm asking $2.99 for it. It is not sold yet. Now, you might see right down at the bottom of the picture, there's like a little blue package. That is actually a $400 software package. Actually, do you see the USB drive there that says Bodno on it? That is the software from the package. I put it back in the package. I'm selling these items separately because the Badgie printer already comes with its own ID making software. This Bodno software is a $400 package of more premium ID making software. So I've got the printer listed for $3.99. I've got the Bodno software listed for $400 right now, but I'm certainly willing to come down on both of those. But that's a great, great item. Okay, here's the piece de resistance. This is probably going to end up being the biggest sale on the pallet. You probably don't know what it is based on the picture. I had to figure out what it was. I thought I knew what it was when I opened it, and I was right, but I wasn't sure I was right. When my son got home from work, I had him check it out, and he told me what it was, and it was exactly what I thought it was. It is a virtual reality headset. It's an HTC Vive Pro starter kit. It's got the headset, 2 controllers, some infrared motion sensors, and all kinds of stuff. I've already sold this. This thing sells for about $1,600 new. This unit had a few issues. We got it working on our computer here in the house. My son played around with it several times to make sure it worked okay. That's what he says. I know he just wanted to play with it, with what a virtual reality headset is like. But no, he did a good job on checking everything out for me. And I got $650 for this headset, sold on eBay. I shipped it to a guy, as I recall, he's just up in Michigan, which is just the next state north of us here. And he got the headset, I think 2 days later. I shipped it priority. Unfortunately, he's having some trouble with it, but he thinks he's going to be able to get it going. We're working with him to do all we can to make sure it works. He feels there's one cable that is possibly damaged. He talked to the support people at HTC, and they suggested that there was a cable he needed to replace. I told him that I would pay for the cable if that fixes it, and he should be getting that cable probably tomorrow. He ordered it from Amazon. If it doesn't help him out, he'll just return it, he said, and there won't be anything due. In that case, he'll probably return it to me, but he told me he wants to do everything he can so that he doesn't have to return this item, because he really wants a virtual reality headset, and they are very expensive. I was so excited when I got this because I knew it was going to be worth a lot of money. I'm not a gamer, I don't play computer games, but I knew that it was valuable. Okay, here's another printer. This is an HP color laser jet. And unfortunately, the LCD screen on this is cracked, which means you cannot do anything with it. You can't control it. It's all controlled by the touchscreen LCD. So it's not worth anything, right? Well, not necessarily. There's two things I thought of. Number one, perhaps I could replace the LCD screen, but I looked into that, and it's not going to be easy to replace or cheap, so I don't consider that an option. But a color laser printer has 4 toner cartridges in it, and they're expensive. It's got, one for each color. You've got black, magenta, cyan, and yellow. Those 4 toner cartridges, if they're HP original cartridges, which these are worth $300. And these cartridges I don't believe they've ever been used. So I'm going to sell the cartridges separately, although I haven't done that yet. But I'm going to be doing that probably this week or next week. I'll list those on eBay. I believe I can get at least probably $150, $200 for those toner cartridges. And I'm excited about that. So there were a few other odds and ends on the pallet, but these are the big things and the things that are going to make a lot of money. The things that I've sold so far, I've brought in about a little over $1,200. And I paid $430 for everything, including shipping and everything. So it's almost triple my money. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to quadruple my money on this. But so really, in only about 10 days or so, I tripled my money. And there is a chance that virtual reality headset is going to come back to me, but I don't think that's going to happen. And if it does, we will go through it again and figure out what's wrong with it. Actually, I think it might be a problem with his computer. We had him update his BIOS and all of his drivers and everything, but that didn't help. But I know it worked perfectly on our computer here. It took some doing. We did update our BIOS and drivers and everything. But so anyway, this is an example of what you can do on pallets. I told you on that not so good pallet a couple of videos ago, I ended up making money on that. Not a lot of money. But it's okay if I make money. Even if I lost money, I would have been okay with it, because I knew I'm going to be getting another pallet along the road where I'm going to make a lot of money, just like this one. And I'm kind of thinking about getting another pallet like this. I see other pallets similar to this on the website that I buy from. And because they don't list the stuff on the manifest on some of these, people are afraid to bid. So I'm excited about it, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you would. That would be greatly appreciated. And if you're interested in flipping pallets or doing any kind of reselling or anything, stay tuned in. Come back to my channel. I'm going to be having frequent videos and just sharing my journey with you. I'm pretty new at this, although I've been in retail since I was about 15 years old. So I know retail, and it's just the liquidation stuff and flipping pallets and everything. I've been selling online since about 1993 or 1992, something like that, when nobody was selling them online hardly at that time, but I was. There were only a few people. I started selling on eBay 1996 when eBay first got started. So anyway, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that great stuff for me. You don't know how much that'll help me. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and I'll see you next time on Pallet Flips.